Om Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarvabhignopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham karishyami siddhir me sada yenakshara samamnayam adhigamya maheshwarat kritsnam vyakaranam proktam tasmai paninaye namaha Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatusmi Munitrayam Vagarthaviva Sampraktau Vagartha Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitarau Vande Parvati Parameshwarau Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Welcome everyone. It's nice to see you. We'll chant our Maheshwara Sutra. So first, in our last class, we were seeing Avyaya from Dhatus. We're seeing Avyaya from Dhatus. We were seeing this on page 155 in our last class. We will continue with Avyaya. So we'll continue with indeclinables, but a slightly different angle. So we won't spend too much time on this topic from Avyaya from Dhatus. But please let me know if there are some questions. I see there's already one question, but let me know if there's any questions with this section before we move on. Okay. We'll chant our Maheshwara Sutra. Om A-I Un Rilik E-Ong I-Ouch Haya Varata Larna Gama Garnanam Jabhanya Gardhadash Jabagardadash Kapha cha tha tha cha da dav Kapai shashasar hal iti maheshwarani sutrani Om Su Au Jas Ot Shas Da Bhyam Bhis Nge Bhyam Bhyas Ngasi Bhyam Bhyas Ngas Os Am Ngi Os Sup. Okay, so we're seeing this Avyaya from Dhatu. So we're seeing we add the suffix twa, and if it has the Dhatu as an upasarga, we add yakara, liap. So we add yakara or twa. Does anybody have any questions on this section? Maybe one of the problems. Harprasad, did you have a question about this here?
The question, Mahodaya, deals with the Shanti mantra.
Okay.
I have a doubt. So do you want me to talk to talk about it now or later?
Yeah, we can save it for the end.
Okay, let's do that.
Please remind me. I'll forget. Okay, so we can open our books to page 152. So we're going to see a new section, and here we'll see some examples for some additional things. So 152, Avyayas. So it's interesting, in Sanskrit class, we're learning about Avyaya, and Vedanta class, we're learning about Avyaya Atma, Atma, which is indeclinable, which does not decay, which is not able to be destroyed. So first, let's start off with something a little bit easier. I know we've seen this before, but chakara, right? Chakara we know is a Avyaya. And so I'll go a little faster because we've seen this a few times, but chakara is positioned very interestingly, right? So in English, we say A and B. Here we don't necessarily, in Sanskrit, we don't say A cha B. There's these two forms. We can either say A cha B cha, so like Rama cha, Ramaha cha, Lakshmanaha cha. Right, we wouldn't say Ramaha, Lakshmana, we wouldn't say Ramaha cha, Lakshmanaha. Okay, you either need it after both, or you needed it after the series, right? A, B, cha. So Ramaha, Lakshmanaha, cha. Okay. When you're using chakara between sentences, you never start a sentence with cha. Okay. So if I say, Devadatta goes to the store, and so my second sentence will be, and Yajnadatta goes to the mall. Okay. Now those could be one sentence, it could be two different sentences, and the second sentence I would start with and. But here, we don't start the sentence with cha. Generally, chakara is placed as the second word in the sentence you want to connect. Okay, so you'll never start a sentence with cha. So here we see Devadatta Gurum Vinayena Namati. So Devadatta Namati. Devadatta salutes to Guru Vinayena, with humility. Evam cha. See, so here we want to connect this sentence, but we didn't put it first. We say Evam cha Natva saha shastram patati. Evam, in this manner. So, and in this manner. Natva is tva. So, having saluted. Saha shastram patati. He reads or studies the shastra. So, in having saluted in this manner, he studies the scripture. So cha, we don't start a sentence with cha, it goes seconds here. So Yajnadatta odanam na khadati. Gramam cha na gacchati. Gramam cha. So Yajnadatta does not eat rice, and he does not go to the village. Okay, so Gramam cha na gacchati. Let me know if you want me to clarify anything in these. Feel free. Chakara can bring in some words from the previous sentence too. So here we have Ramaha vanam gacchati, right? Our classic sentence. Rama goes to the forest. And we say Lakshmanaha cha. Okay, Lakshmanaha cha. So that if I look at this just by itself, it would say and Lakshmana. But that's not quite what we're meaning. Cha can bring in some words from the previous sentence. So Rama goes to the forest. Rama goes to the forest. Lakshmanaha cha. Lakshmana also vanam gacchati. And Lakshmana goes to the forest. So by cha, vanam and gacchati are brought down from that previous sentence. So there was a question about the previous, what we're looking at here. Evam chanatva saha shastram patati. So just quickly going back to that. Natva is one of our twa, what we've seen. So this is from the dhatu nam, to bow, right? Nam, 1p, to bow. Now this is, some of them, we lose that second letter. So for example, gum, we get gatva. Nam, we get natva. So having saluted, evam, in this manner, saha shastram patati. He, saha, patati, studies shastram, scripture. Okay. Okay. So chakara, yep, is natva lot lakara. Natva is not lot lakara. Natva is an avyaya word. It's indeclinable. So it's not a verb. Technically it's a noun, but it's its own kind of class, right? It doesn't decline. So it's a bit funny. It's a bit in between. It's like a mushroom. It's neither vegetable or it's not meat. It's kind of in between. This is that kind of thing. Yeah, this is nam dhatu, and then we add dwa to it, and it becomes indeclinable. So not lot lakara. There's no lakara because it's not a verb. Harprasadji, go ahead and unmute yourself there.
Yeah, I think you might have answered, but I don't remember. This
Mhm.
evam cha, evam cha natva sa shastram patati.
Yeah.
Why is it not saha?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that in our last class as well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We didn't follow up with that.
Yes.
So why is it let's think about that. So in this sentence, I'm not quite sure why it's I'll have to think about this one.
All right. That's fine, Mahoday.
Yeah, because it doesn't follow the usual sandhi rules here. So I'll have to find that out. So we'll have to think about that.
No, okay. Let's proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know either. So cha is very common. Another very common we see is va. Va is or. Not Tamil va. Va in Tamil means something very different, right? Yep. Vango, va, right? Similar thing, right? Come. So or. So same position as chakara. So it's same position, meaning that you get AB, Hcha, Bcha, so be Eva, Biva, or Abiva. Okay. So let's look at some sentences here. Yeah. Tad vastu tasmin va etasmin va na drishyate. Okay, so tad vastu, that object, na drishyate, is not seen. Okay, tad vastu na drishyate. Tasmin va, it's not seen there. Etasmin va, nor is it seen here. So it's not seen there or here. So we say tasmin va, etasmin va. Eva biva. Okay, so here we saw it after each of the series, or we can just see it at the end. So we can say tad vastu tasmin etasmin va na drishyate. Who is the subject here? So first thing we have to see, this is drishyate. Drishyate, this is drishdhatu latlakaraha karmani prayoga prathama purusha ekavachanam. So karmani. So we look for the first case, and the first case tad vastu, right? So that's not the karta, this is the karma, right? So that's the object. So the object is not seen. Now, we don't have a karta. Who is the seer here? We don't have that. Sometimes in karmani sentences, you a lot of times you don't have that. So we can supply it. We don't need to, but if we want to, we would supply a third case word. A word in the third case. So ramena. Okay, ramena na drishyate. It's not seen by Rama. Or tena, by that person. Okay, we'll see one more and then we're gonna switch subjects here. So we saw what we've seen so far, cha and va or, now tu. Tu, we often see in parantu or tu, right? Tu is however, whereas, indeed. So this is something different than what you were saying before. Okay. Now, there's kind of two parts to this, right? You see, whereas or however, so it's saying something different than what you were saying before, or it can be something emphasizing something. It can be an indeed. So indeed, it means that you're emphasizing something. Okay. So we often see it same as chakara, that placement. So you'll notice how here we have two separate sentences, and tu, we don't start the sentence with tu. Just like we won't start the sentence with cha, we won't start the sentence with va. It'll be the second word in the sentence. Okay. So, and oftentimes you'll see it in this placement, because you're saying one sentence and then you'll say, however, X, Y, Z. So however usually comes at the beginning of a sentence. But unlike English, we don't say it as the first word, we say it as the second. Okay, so Ramaha gacchati, Rama goes. Lakshmanaha tu tishtati, whereas, however, Lakshmanaha stays. Ramaha gacchati, Lakshmanaha tu tishtati. Okay, so we've seen cha and va or tu, however, or whereas. Okay, I said one more, but let's do one more. I like these. These are fun. Okay, he. He is very common as well. So by the way, the ones we're seeing right now, you'll see in a majority of the sentences in Shastra. You'll see something, you'll see cha, you'll see va, you'll see he, iti, eva. All these ones on here are so common. So we're adding to our vocabulary by learning these words. These are high yield words, if we can use that. This is going to give you you're going to get a lot out of just learning these few words here. So he has two types of meaning. One is emphasizing something. So saying indeed or alone. So you'll see in this sentence it translates as alone, but that's emphasizing something. Or it can be in the meaning of because. So it's giving a reason. Okay. So this is same position as chakara. So here you see it as a second word. Bhojanena hi shuddha shamyati. Okay. Bhojanena hi shuddha shamyati. Okay, shamyati is to calm something, to appease. What is appeased? Shuddha, hunger. Hunger is appeased. Bhojanena hi, by eating indeed, or by eating alone, hunger is appeased. Hunger is resolved. So it's emphasizing that this bhojanena. Bhojanam. Here, the second sentence, Agnihi iha asti dhumaha hi drishyate. Iha means here. So that's another Avyaya word, which we haven't seen. But Agni is here. Agni must be here. Fire must be here. Dhumaha hi drishyate. Why? Because dhumaha, smoke, drishyate, is seen. So because the smoke is seen, fire must be here. Okay, so there's some questions. Seeing. Bhojanena hi kshuddha shamyate. So one question was, is bhojanena the karta of the sentence? I wouldn't necessarily say, let me think, shuddha, so hunger is appeased. It's not really the karta, because it is doing the appeasing, but I would say it's almost like the karana. It's the way of appeasing. It's the instrument of appeasing. But these aren't watertight, right? You can argue for either and you won't necessarily be wrong. Here, I would say the means, the karana of removing hunger is eating. So I would say maybe karane, or you can say even, in that way, I would say probably karane. But yeah, up for debate. So there's a question, another question is, we have this meaning of indeed in the word tu, we have indeed in he, and we'll also see indeed in eva. Okay, and let me see anywhere else. No, we don't, not here. So how can they be differentiated? How do we know? So this is, we don't have a good answer, right? This is kind of like our standard answer is you have to see the context. You have to see the context to see what is being emphasized. Is tu in the meaning of however, or is it an indeed? Is he in the meaning of because, or is it indeed? So one thing to know is that I would really look at these and try to remember these differentiating definitions first. Tu meaning however, he meaning because, right? Because those are commonly used. And then you can also know that they also mean indeed. But I didn't answer the question. The question is, how can they be differentiated? One is based on context. And really, because we're studying Shastra, we'll follow the parampara. We'll see what did the commentary say, what is the teacher saying, based on how they're translating he or how they're translating tu. So in the commentaries, we'll often say he, and we'll see he because Shankaracharya is giving some logic or he's giving a reason. So every time we would see he, we would press our teacher, what is the connection? Why is he, what is the connection between this sentence and this sentence? How is this the cause for that? So if my teacher, when he would get frustrated with us, he would say, okay, it means indeed. Jokingly. He would answer the question and then he said, if you're not satisfied, it can mean indeed also. But really, we want to follow what our parampara is saying and what the commentaries say. Yeah, so we only have 5 more minutes. Let's just stay with this topic. I was going to start a whole new topic, but let's stay with this. I think this is useful. So far, what have we seen? We've seen cha, which is and. We've seen va, which means or. We've seen tu, which means whereas, however, indeed. And we've seen he, because or indeed. Okay, so can you remember those in your head already? So cha, va, tu, he. Iti, we've seen a lot in Vedanta class as well. Iti, literally we translate the word iti as thus. Or another way of translating this is in this manner. In this manner. So before I talk about those definitions, one way of understanding it is it converts the word or the sentence that comes before it into shabda swarupa, into speech. So this stands as quotation marks. Everything before iti is direct speech. So we can say it's like quotation marks. So Tvam karoshi iti. So, right, we're talking about someone saying Tvam karoshi. In Sanskritam, we don't have these marks of quotation marks. Here, she put it in the text for our ease, but in our most of our books, we won't see quotation marks anywhere. We don't see commas anywhere. Now they've added in commas, they've added in quotation marks, these things to help us out, but these weren't there traditionally. So how would we know if someone's speaking something? We would use the word iti. So Tvam karoshi iti guruhu mam vadati. Vadati speaks, tells. Kaha vadati? Who speaks? Guruhu vadati. So guru, teacher, tells. Teacher speaks. Kam vadati? To who? Mam. Mam vadati. So guruhu mam vadati. The guru tells me or speaks to me, tells me. Kim vadati? What is he saying? What is she saying? Tvam karoshi. May you do. Karoshi, do. Tvam, may you. So may you do. We don't know what you're supposed to do, but you're supposed to do something. Okay. So there's one point is where the quote starts is understood by the context only. So that might be one question. If iti is at the end of the sentence, let's say, where does it start and where does it end? How do we know how much they're talking about? Again, we don't necessarily know from the text itself. We have to know the context of what it's being written. And we have a tradition that tells us where it starts and where it ends. It says in Sanskrit, there's no indirect speech. I'm not quite clear what to be honest, I'm not quite clear what she's trying to emphasize by saying that here. So I'm not going to comment on that right now. So just so we know. Harprasad, do you have a question?
Tvam karoshi shouldn't be in lot lakara because he is saying you do.
Yeah, so karoshi, so if it was in lot lakara, be kuru. So what's this is, so in lot lakara, we can see, I'll show you this.
Yeah, lot lakara is like gacha, kuru.
Yep, I'm just pulling that up for us here.
Oh, okay.
One second.
Listen, I can give you the page number.
Yeah, so if we have it here, so karoshi. So it's yeah, so it's not, we know it's not lot lakara. We have to find out which lakara it is. And so that I'm trying to think of. So we'll have to look into what karoshi since we're out of time. So I'll look it up in the break in the dictionary. We can find that. Yeah.
Okay. Can I still, since we're going to the break, shall I ask you the question?
Yeah, of the prayer, correct?
Yeah. It is a simple question. See, would you please look in page Oh, it is in the Vyakarana book, in which you may not, it is in the volume 2.
Okay.
Okay. It is about Shantihi, Shantish, Shantish, Shantish. Now, to pronounce like that, is it optional? Can I say Shantihi and leave, say, 2 matras? I'll say Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. I'm thinking that it looks like that is also correct, because the author says that it is optional. It is in page number.
So it is optional. You're correct. So you could leave some. You can leave some matras and say Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. But if you're saying it, when we're saying it together, because we often say it together, so then you would say Shantish, Shantish.
Agreed. But theoretically, I can say Shantihi, 1 matra, Shantihi, 1 matra, Shantihi. That's also correct, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. That's all. Okay. Dhanyawada.
So today, what we've seen so far is we saw Avyayas. So we've seen these indeclinable words starting with chakara, va, tu, hi. It's going a little slower. Va, tu, hi, and iti. Right? So we've seen these few different Avyaya words. And so we just have to, these are something that we just have to see over and over again to remember these, but they come commonly. So now you'll notice them more. When you see them in the Vedanta class, you can catch on to those. So someone, Nilimaji said that it's, this is latlakara, karoshi. I think you might be correct. I'm just not, I haven't practiced my kru dhatu. So I think that is correct. Parasmai pada madhyama purusha. So if it is lat lakara, then this would be, you do it. So it's not much of a command. So it would be better if we wanted to make a command, it would be lat lakara. Or lot lakara, sorry, lot lakara. But if we're saying lat lakara, in English, you still would say it in a very similar way. You do, but not as a command. You just do it. Yeah. Lot lakara can also be a request as well. Okay, so we'll finish here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.